recording.
Ready to rock and roll!
Awesome.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, me too.
Super pumped. What if Scott just left? How funny would that be? He's like, I don't want to do this anymore. We got nervous.
Hey Scott, how's it going, man?
Welcome.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. Hello. Are you ready?
Yep.
Are you pumped?
Let's do this thing.
Let's do this.
Little mic check.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
We are
Check.
good as whatever here.
Yep,
All
looks
right.
like we're looking good.
We're ready to rock and roll. Well, Scott, welcome to the Business Legends podcast. Guys, we have a very special guest today, an entrepreneur to the core and a North Carolina native. Scott was that guy selling you candy in high school. He's the owner of Fit Tech and Assembly, an installation service and maintenance company for commercial fitness equipment that operates from Pennsylvania to Florida, all the way down to Atlanta. He's also a partner in the newly formed Guest House, a short-term rental management and investment group. Scott's also been a longtime board member and servant of Inmates to Entrepreneurs and has received invitations from the White House due to his work there. Scott truly believes anything is possible with a great mindset, good work ethic, and a creative, thoughtful, and positive approach. It's a pleasure for him to share his experiences with those around him. Scott sees himself as a student as well as a teacher. Guru Sensei, our good friend Scott, our very first podcast. I'm so excited to have you here, man. Thanks for joining us.
We just busted it right there.
Busted it. That was
Busted
it.
it right there.
That's right. It's done.
Official now.
It's official, man. We're rocking and rolling, man. So, Scott, I find your story so inspiring. When Christian and I were talking about doing this podcast A to Z, I was like, we gotta get Scott on there. I mean, you were literally the first name that I said as soon as we talked about it. Your story is amazing, and let's just dig right into it. So, introduce the elephant in the room. Inmates to Entrepreneurs. How'd you get involved with that?
It's pretty simple. Like you read there, I was the kid who would sell you candy in school. You know, stop by the pharmacy, buy it for 10 cents, sell it to you for 25 cents, that kind of stuff. And this is before it was, this is all before we even knew what the word entrepreneur meant,
Sure.
much less it being a hot buzzword. It was just, so when many moons ago, when, I started experimenting with partying and whatnot, I was the individual that as soon as I was got stoned for the first time, I, said, I can sell this.
Right.
Where there's a market, there's a way.
Exactly.
Started selling a different kind of candy, did you?
Yes, exactly. And I just sort of I've always had this strange mindset of, I can do it better. And I think a lot of it it was a product of, when I was an employee, I didn't have good leaders. I didn't have men or women who were in charge of my duties that taught me to become a better version of me. So I was always looking, maybe in some sense, to develop a better version in some way. And so part of that was also selling drugs. And so that eventually that led me to full-blown addiction, which led to eventually being incarcerated, which was a blessing. Thank God for the judge who sentenced me. Thank God for the guy who narked on me and got me busted. It was truly a eye-opening and positive experience.
It's such a rare situation that somebody can say that, that you went through something so seemingly terrible and then you get on the other side of it and you're, better for it, and you say thank God for the people that literally locked you up,
Well, it's not vacation.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is this, all right? So when I was in full-blown addiction, and what really brought me down was cocaine.
Right.
And I'd gone through some other addiction stuff, but they were more short-lived. And I was a garbage head. I didn't have a favorite. I wasn't full-blown alcoholic. It was just everything.
Yeah.
Right? If there was a buzz involved, I was.
Yeah.
Thank God I didn't find heroin.
Yeah.
And none of us happened. And cocaine finally brought me down.
Right.
And it really comes down to the fact that when I got caught, which the side note that's so funny is I was caught in the parking lot across the street from the jail.
Oh wow!
That is where they pulled me over.
Yeah.
That is where they pulled me over and busted me. But when the guy narked on me and I got busted, with no less than a couple months prior,
Sure.
I'd reached this point of what the hell is going on. I was caught up with my dealer. I was out of product at the moment, and I looked at the person I was dating at the time and just said, I remember saying, I'm done. I don't know. I just don't want to do this anymore.
You were ready to get out.
Yeah, but being because we're all addicted and we're all in this, we're party buddies. And, no one looks at you and goes, yeah, man, you should go and go to an anonymous association. You should go to
especially in that environment.
Yeah, because everyone around me was just as bad as me.
Sure.
And my friends who I was selling it to, and I feel bad. I look back and all my friends were really skinny,
Mm-hmm.
and as soon as I got busted, they got really fat. Well, some of them got fat.
Oh, okay.
They immediately put on
Gotcha.
weight. I was affecting people's lives.
Yeah.
In a way that was no longer positive. It wasn't just, hey, selling some pot, maybe some acid every once in a while, whatever. I was now a true plague inside of my group of friends.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, got busted. And so Inmate to Entrepreneurs, it was started by Brian Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
He really started in the 90s going into prisons and talking about entrepreneurship. But in somewhere, it's like around 2008, he gave it a name. And we are sure, but we're unofficially sure. We think that I was in the second class or seminar that he ever gave in a prison under the name Inmates to Entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And so since 2008, I have been hanging around. 2012, after I'd come home.
Can you explain that class thing? Is that just like?
So we still do it today.
Okay.
We still do it today. We call it the unofficial term, or I have a dream speech, right? So we go in and for 2.5 hours, we give a seminar on the basics of entrepreneurship. So to tell these individuals, say, hey, look, you're coming home, and some guys know what the second sentence is. They've gotten out, and they have seen the problems that come along with now being a felon, not being able to get a job. If you're a felon, you're never going to work in apartment maintenance again more often than not.
Sure.
Right? There's doors that shut suddenly, and so entrepreneurship is leveling the playing field.
Yeah.
I've been in business now for a little while, and I know for one time I was definitely background checked. It might have been twice.
Yeah.
I'm no longer allowed to go on military bases.
Right.
That's okay. My employees get it.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
But I don't.
Yeah.
They just won't let me. They used
I
to.
never even put that together. Like
Yeah.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah, they
you.
used to. I used to roll up in there and they'd check my truck and do whatever when
Yeah.
I was just starting and going in. It's a new thing in the last couple of years. No felons on base,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine. So I have a dream speech. It gives them a 2.5 hour introduction to what entrepreneurship is, the very basics, and we talk about it all the time. Drug dealers make good business owners over time because they have
clearly, right?
they have the basis. They understand
Yeah.
supply and demand. I even to say, look, if you're a thief and you knew how to get rid of your stuff,
Yeah.
right? It's the same principle. It's
Sure.
it's still that reciprocity of back and forth. You get product, and you just know what to do on the level that you need to flip it into understanding how you do this legally and above board.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what. So Inmates to Entrepreneurs. That's how I got introduced. I started off. I started off a little bit different from anybody else because I've never had straight up mentorship, but
Mhm.
I've always had mentorship. If that makes sense.
Sure.
I never was mentored by a mentor.
Yeah. Different
I
role
was
models.
never the mentee.
Right.
And I came in. I worked directly for them for a short bit. It shut down for a very short time as it sort of had lost its way a little bit. It wasn't working. It wasn't making sense. And Brian had to go through some things in his own life. And then when he was ready to come back, we've been back for a couple, 3 years maybe. Could be slightly longer.
Yeah.
And we're rock and roll. We teach. So right now, actually, I'm teaching. Tonight, I have to go and I have to teach for an hour and a half.
Man.
We're doing it twice a week for those who are formally incarcerated.
Yeah.
Right. So it's free. All you got to do is have a background, and we take you on your word at that as well.
And this is in the penitentiaries and the prisons, or it's
No. This is done. This is for those who have been released, and their crime could be 20 years old right now.
Oh, I
so we
see.
still go to the prisons and we talk.
Yeah.
We get asked to come in and do keynote addresses for graduating GED classes
Yeah.
and stuff like that. We try to bring hope that hey, there's a possibility, but you got to understand that there's work to be involved. And so teaching now is one of my bigger pleasures as well. So tonight I'll go and I'll teach, and I'll work with another mentor up there, and and we just go back and forth. But we have a curriculum that's built. We have online classes. If you go to brianhamilton.org or Inmates to Entrepreneurs, you can find Starter U, as in the letter U,
Right.
and it's free videos on the basis of entrepreneurship.
That's awesome. So right here is where I see the most, this is the most impressive part of what you've done. After you, I'm assuming, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but after you leave prison for a certain amount of time, you probably come out with maybe a couple pennies or nickels to rub together, and then out comes 2 or 3 businesses in the next so many years from you. So how did you go from being an inmate to turning that into 2 or 3 successful businesses?
Okay, so one of the things we teach, and it's the reason why we do what we do, when I come home, it doesn't matter how long I've been incarcerated, I get a $40 gate check in the state of North Carolina. You've been locked up for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, even 6 months. Your engine of your life has shut down. You have no money. You might not have family. You might not have anybody left in your world. You get $40. The mentality is taking $40 and turning it into $200. How do you do it?
Wow.
So what we teach, and the way I did it too, is the same principle: service-based businesses. Equity and sweat are easy to create, right?
Sure.
Through just basic labor. And so I started with $75, an '86 Toyota pickup truck, and a bag of tools when I started my business. I'd worked for as a contractor. I'm in the fitness equipment services industry, so installation, service, repair, maintenance, and repair. And I worked as a contractor, was starting to starve because I was just a contractor, I didn't understand the game, I started my own business. And we teach the same process: persistence, getting up and working hard, just finding that way. The example being that it's easy to use is the beauty of our country is I can say, hi, my name is Scott Jennings, I own Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity Landscape Service.
That's your next business.
That's my next business.
Please, I'll go to business with you.
Can you see that on the side of a truck?
Yes. From you, yes.
It's just long, I can tell you that.
Yeah, there you go.
And in today's world, you can put a rainbow and it's even better. I can tell. All I have to do is know how to get hold of a lawnmower. I can borrow the lawnmower. I can borrow a weed eater. I can borrow a rake, and all I got to do is get it somewhere. Be able to get it somewhere, and I can take $40 in gas and turn that into $200 that day. I can turn it into more, but I have to understand the very basics.
It's sweat equity.
Yeah, it's just labor, and it's easy to do. In a world where society is not teaching to work with our hands and I want to come out of college, and yes, I have, it's just been $100,000 plus on my education, and I immediately want to be a manager, but you don't know how to do anything.
Yeah, other than changing tires or maybe changing my oil filter, I literally couldn't do a single thing with my hands.
Yeah, my hands are well manicured, thank you.
I try to get back to where I don't have calluses, and I sort of reached that point at work for a little while, and then I started a new division, and I got calluses back.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to work away from getting calluses.
We're all gym rats here, man. I mean, we're pretty much doing
that should tear up your hands, though.
Yeah,
I look like I work.
Yeah,
you look like you work.
That's all it is.
The
Then you look at the
gym
nails, not a speck of dirt type of thing. So let's talk a little bit about the inmates. They get this $40. I mean, do you just advise that they start banging down doors and saying, "Hey, can I mow your grass for $20 here?" Or what's your recommendation for that? How does that go?
And it's not as simple though, right?
Of course.
It's mentality.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, you can't be a victim anymore.
Right.
I don't care if you said you didn't create the crime. You didn't do the time. You didn't do the crime. You can't be a victim. Victims don't move forward.
Sure.
And so it has to be that mentality of I can do anything, and how am I going to get it done? So many people come home and they spend that money on things that aren't moving them forward.
Yeah.
Which I get. I mean, you're going from crappy food, you're going from, whatever, no luxuries, and you suddenly want luxury. You want the opportunity. Problem is, though, for some, $40 doesn't give you any kind of luxury at all.
Doesn't give you anything.
It barely fills the gas tank.
Right.
On a car.
It doesn't fill mine.
Yeah. Depending on the size of your vehicle, it's not going to fill the gas tank. It is the mentality. I've just got home. What am I going to do? I've been released to a homeless shelter. How do I take $40 and do something with it properly? But you got to had to put thought into it. You
Yeah.
really, you have to think. Yeah, okay, so the great Mr. Rogers had a saying that said, life is meant to be deep and simple, not shallow and complex.
Right. Yep.
And I think we've talked about this in past conversations. And the reality is, people don't truly think about themselves. They're not very self-aware. So to be successful in business, you need to become self-aware. You need to spend time thinking about who you are and trying to become who you want to be. No one ever fell up the mountain.
Yep.
I didn't suddenly just appear.
Yeah.
Even silver spoon children, those who are, born into privilege, heck, they tend to want to off themselves, have more drug addiction issues because they don't have any struggles.
Yeah, the research is fascinating.
Yes, I mean, that's why, you win the lottery and that vast amount of people are broke in 5 years.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to be millionaires.
Which is insane.
They don't know how.
Yeah.
They've never, and if they've never spent the time really thinking about being that and how they would handle it and what the steps are, they just off to the races. I need cars, I need boats, I need this, I need that, and that stuff costs.
Yeah.
And to manage stuff costs. So when you're coming home, if you're going to try to launch into this world, it takes thought and it takes persistence for sure, and to persevere. It's just not a light switch.
It seems especially difficult. Yeah, it seems especially difficult going from being incarcerated to, I'm sure some people get a little bit of support from their families when they get out, but some people that $40 is all that they get,
True.
And to change the mindset of going from, I've been locked up, this has been my life for this long, and there's actually a bunch of research where, people end up back in prison afterwards, after the fact. So how do you go, you got your 86 Corolla, you got a bag of tools and $40. How did Fit Tech and Assembly come about from there?
So when I came home, I was I couldn't get a job. I found out what the second sentence is. And for those who can't visually see, I'm white, I'm tall, I'm blonde haired. I do not fit.
What little hair you have.
Yeah, what little hair is left. I had more at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not stereotypical incarceration. And I didn't come from a family of incarceration.
Sure.
And I did not have a circle of friends who had incarceration. So I truly found out what the second sentence is. I'm a felon. I briefly got a job as a temp service doing maintenance. They found out I was a felon. I didn't have the job anymore. I ended up landscaping for a whopping $9.50 an hour. As a grown adult, that did not pay the bills. I ended up working for a contract company. I didn't understand the business I was in. I just sort of fell into it. I laugh, and my wife laughs because I don't sound like that, but I always use the same voice. And it was May of 2011. I was starting to starve, and I was complaining or whatever, and sometime in that summer, she just looks at me and goes, "Why don't you start your own business?" Not knowing that side of me,
Yeah.
I said, you're right. And because I had been introduced to inmates and entrepreneurs, I knew that I had people I could at least talk to. So I took a shot, started calling the manufacturers in the fitness equipment industry on the residential side of things first.
Okay.
That's much easier to get into. And so it was easy to take $75 and turn that into more work because I got lucky, and within probably the first week of making phone calls, I had a manufacturer go, "Oh, okay, we'll give you a try." But I had to get to a point where, remember, it's 30 plus days before you're paid. All right, so I was still working as a contractor for the other company, getting sporadic work. My life was very cheap. My truck's paid for. I do have to pay for my gas. I don't have health insurance. Single living. I don't think my son had moved in with me yet. I'm living in an in-law suite in bottom of someone's home for $500 $550 a month.
Wow.
So I want to back up real fast.
Mm-hmm.
So you said the word, you got lucky. It's amazing what people call luck. I mean, you just started asking, you started calling, you started actually diving into that. I call that more of like, instead of luck, you just opened that door and finally dove in.
I mean, I guess you make your luck. In business, you make your luck because making your luck means that you're taking action. But there's a bit of it, right? I meet people who have been trying to try to break into our industry, and they just keep hearing no, your area is saturated. But I don't deal with no very well. I'm better today, and I'm more calm. But no means not.
You don't handle rejection very well.
No
means not right
no,
now.
You just threw down the gauntlet. We have a challenge.
Yeah,
you know.
I love that.
And I mean, in the fitness world, I've knocked at Precor's door for many years.
Yeah, and what is
Precor's a manufacturer.
Okay, gotcha.
And the example being is I kept hearing, no, we're fine. And then it took one person who needed me, would like me to do a service. So they opened up a Precor door for installation, and so we started installing one product. And then they said, hey, we like what you do, and will you please come to training? And so we came to training for installation on the other products, and now we're just waiting for the door to open up for service. But it's just continuously knocking. It's that persistence.
Was it more about persistence for you, or sweat equity? Was it more about doing
both?
Just all of it.
Yeah, you had to put your head down and push.
Sure.
You guys know this. You're both entrepreneurs,
yeah.
And you both have done other things in life. Nothing comes easy. If it's handed to you, you don't respect it.
Yeah, you don't appreciate it,
At all. Not at all.
Entrepreneurship is probably the hardest thing I've done so far.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, you know what? I don't want the. When I first got into it, I was like, I don't want the boss. I don't want the 9 to 5.
And then you become the boss.
And then you become the boss, but at the same time, then you start working from 7 to 7. And it's like you didn't want 9 to 5, but you decide to go 7 to 7 because you find like after you actually get started, you get new goals, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that felt the same way for you or not.
Yeah. Your dreams change.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, they change dramatically. And you change dramatically. So, was it Malcolm X that said it, something along the lines? It's basically, if you prepare for today for your tomorrows, to be ready for tomorrow,
mm-hmm.
right? I have no idea what is coming down the pipe in my world. I can see inklings, but
good ideas.
The God of my understanding does not show the playbook, and I have no idea what is about to happen in my world. And right now, we could be having a wonderful time right here, and I walk outside, and my tire's flat.
Yeah.
That's a cost in business, right?
You gotta handle it.
Yeah, you just don't know what's going to happen every time. And you guys know this. Every time that we have plans and designs for, hey, this is going to work, then either it doesn't work, and you're like, well, damn.
Yeah.
That sucks. I swore that was going to work.
Forget plan A, B, and C.
Or something happens that takes the money away that was going to launch your plan.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I love your story. I want to talk a little bit more about your business. So you actually have a successful repair business and an install business. And I want to kind of talk about how you manage that. Because you're in multiple states. You got people driving, and you're here today. I've seen your phone ring 3 times as you've been sitting here.
So is it really?
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So again, I have always been that person who, I'm always shooting for Mars. Because my mentality is if I shoot for Mars and I hit the moon, I've done okay. But I'm still not happy. Or like Les Brown would say, if you shoot for the moon, you might just land in the stars, or whatever it is. I'm hard to satisfy. So when I started, I quickly found a contractor to work for me in Charlotte, and then as I was living over in the Chapel Hill area, and I just am always looking for more. So that leads to, well, how do you do that, right? So thank God for the internet. And so we start with field service software. We've been through several, and so field service software allows us to work in real time off of smartphones.
That must have been a pretty big shift, just being able to work off your phone, as opposed to being a big brick tablet.
Because smartphones, they're really smart. You had BlackBerry, right? But then smartphones really started 2010, 2011, something like that, right?
Sure.
So but they quickly caught up with software to figure out, and it was terrible at first. The company that we're working with now for our field service software, we just switched over in this past handful of months, and it's great. So that's key. Good software to manage them from afar, working in a real-time atmosphere.
I can completely back that up too. It's insane how much software a business has to have. Like before I got started, I was like, 1 or 2 is going to be just fine. And Business Market Solutions Group has like 11 softwares that just manage the campaigns by itself. That's it.
I expect to be called at some point, hey, we got a new toy.
Yeah, we're trying something new out, right? And there's number 12, and it just keeps coming.
Oh, I know. And some of it costs an arm and a leg. But if you wait long enough, you will find what you can afford in your price point, and it'll be, it's like we've been through so many different softwares now for field service that what we're on now, we're like, oh wow, this is so great. It just took a while for the market to catch up and understanding of volume versus, like Salesforce is expensive. HubSpot is expensive, and
Agreed.
people either love it or they hate it, so it,
And that's why they only have 74,000 competitors or however many.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, you want to be red instead of blue? We got you. We'll call it,
exactly.
Call it Red Force or something. Whatever.
So software is important. We use, again, Microsoft Office 365 because the Microsoft suite is amazing, and again, everything is subscription based, so it's cost effective. Our whole back office is built in Microsoft. So everyone gets to work remotely. With that said, my admin lives in Virginia. My COO lives in South Carolina. I'm in North Carolina. Our staff and then we have staff we have one owner of ours that's up in the DC market. We're in the process. Works up into Pennsylvania stuff. We just literally signed and are launching the Orlando market as we speak. We're talking with someone right now in Atlanta, and it's all because the world has shrunk dramatically through the power of the internet.
So real fast on that, you're talking about opening a market. Now I know what you're talking about because we've had discussions before. Can you explain what your strategy there is? Because I know you're like doing some kind of hybrid between franchise and kind of partnership in these areas to kind of blast the economy in the certain cities.
Yeah. So again, I don't think small. I can't stay. And I said it's funny because I was having this conversation. I said, with these three guys, I'm going to stop for a while and get a handle. And I mean that at the moment, and at the same time too, as I was saying this statement, I knew I was lying to myself because
You gotta lie to
More.
yourself, man. You gotta lie to yourself.
More.
Yeah.
Exactly 10x if you're
Exactly. It's exactly world domination.
Yeah.
Just so you understand.
Yeah. For those of you that can't see, Scott wears a Grant Cardone bracelet with the 10x mentality on it. 10x everything, 10x your life, 10x it all, and he's worn that for as long as I've known him. So.
And I have T-shirts that say world domination and
Yeah.
tech and assembly on it. And
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I'm in the process.
You guys give us one.
Yeah, I'm developing it so where it looks really good.
Yeah.
I've gone through the power of Teespring and all these other places.
A year from now, I could see you being in the apparel industry.
Oh, world domination.
World domination.
World domination. I'm trying this hybrid. It's mixed of. So I want to franchise. I've talked about franchising for a couple of years, but that is super expensive to get started, and we weren't ready.
Just from a legal perspective, or what's
Financial.
about it?
Just financial. You immediately have to have a good chunk of cash to write basically your Bible.
Branding and your
and
operations agreements
and
stuff.
Exactly. And so what we're doing now to test it is just a local salesperson had called and said, hey, will you hire my son? And my son's looking to leave where he's working or he's just not happy or something like that. We had a conversation, it just wasn't the right time, but then we fell in love with his son, and his name is Jared, and then Jared calls, I don't know, maybe a couple months later, and says, I gotta go, I can't do this anymore. But he didn't want to move.
So he bailed on you.
Well, he's working somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
It just wasn't right time.
Yeah.
And I said, let's put you in business, because his mentality was, if we made him an employee, I don't think long term I don't think I'd have him in 5 years.
I see.
But I see something in him, and I'm like, let's turn him into our first test franchise. So it's basically what we've developed is this model that we're testing out, that instead of upfront costs, we bring people in as a contractor and then working towards franchising. So we're learning with them, they're learning with us. They understand that things will be constantly changing as we solidify what works and what doesn't. And eventually what we will do is we will take the money that we've earned from them, build an actual franchise, and then when we present them with franchise paperwork, because franchise paperwork is scary when you read it. It looks like the apocalypse, and it's stacked in.
We need your firstborn child.
That this is all the things that we've worked out in agreements. It's just now legal jargon that covers every single thought process. So with that said, I've also met people from Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A grows a lot of their own people down in Atlanta. They come out of the stores there. And I met a guy who, I think he owned one of the drive-thrus, and his investment to get the drive-thru was $5,000 to get in. Now, Chick-fil-A doesn't really give you full ownership, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's
Because they're
hybrid.
still corporate driven, right?
So obviously, well, what can we do that too? Can I find people with fitness equipment industry experience who have goals and admiration, who don't have the bank account to just suddenly start? And I have accounts that are large enough that I can bring them a national account that gets them started. I basically get them started, and then we go from there. And then we work into full franchise.
That's really neat. You're tackling two of the largest hurdles in entrepreneurship at once there. Hiring employees in a service industry, I can imagine it's easy to learn a lot of the ins and outs of it, and then think you can do it on your own, and then dip out. And you're now giving these people the opportunity, if they work and learn and do a good job, instead of them having to leave you to find a new opportunity, they just could relocate to a city and start their own underneath your franchise.
Yeah, and that's ultimately the goal. Right now, the first 3 places, these people already are located there, and we are finding them. But the goal, yes, is what we talk about with inside of staff is we'll grow you here, and if you have the means to go somewhere else, then that's fine. If you say, hey Scott, I've worked for you the last 5 years and we're impressed with you, we think that you can do more and you've shown us that you can do more, and you say, I need to move to Michigan, I'm going to be in such and such area and it's a viable market, okay, well, let's talk. Let's keep you. We want you here.
You have such a great attitude for that too, man. I mean, you'd think that from your perspective, you'd be concerned if you really started somebody off like that. You'd think that they would end up not necessarily backstabbing you, but saying, "Oh, thanks for everything. Thanks for getting me going," and then parting ways with you or something like that. But you're talking about growing a business together with them,
Yeah, it's even when I hire people, and there's only things I've sort of learned in the last couple of years that. When we're in an interview, people say, well, what's it like around here? And I'm like, I don't know, when are you going to make it?
Yeah.
That's the truth, right? You can come in and be a jerk and an ass, and these guys will get rid of you. I might just get rid of you because you'll piss me off.
Right.
I don't want to talk to you.
Sure.
Or so every day that you come in is important in your own attitude. Leave the struggles of your home life at home. Yes, we have to work hard here, and our days are tough too, but you get to make the day. Your attitude makes the day.
Yeah.
So, typical construction mentality, we talk a lot of junk to each other and stuff, but we have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We say things that are not politically correct. No one's offended.
People do that?
Some days.
Yeah, some days.
Be careful, watch out.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. But it's your job to make the environment. And the other thing is, I've really gotten good at talking about understanding what teamwork is.
Yeah.
Because we have physical jobs, and don't let the next person beside you outwork you today.
Yeah.
It's just that's not fair to them. It's not, and if you consistently, we all understand we have good days and bad days, but if it's consistent, you won't last. I'm one of the older. Our warehouse guy's older than me, and then there's me.
Right.
At this moment, and I'm like, if I'm on a job site and I'm working with you and I'm outworking you, that's a problem.
For sure.
It's a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, we run circles around you.
That pen moves very fast.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
You can type fast.
Yeah, that's it. That's all.
He actually really can. He's kind of a nerd in that way.
It is what it is.
But I enjoy teaching as well. And
yeah.
But then again, it's being a constant student to create these people, right? I have to be a constant student.
Yeah.
My morning routine is I get up and 95%, maybe even more, I'm getting up and I'm either listening to a podcast like this where we're talking about becoming better.
Yeah.
I'm listening to John Maxwell, who's telling me how to be a better leader. So I have mentors today. They're just not sitting in front of me.
Yeah.
They are afar, and I'm ingesting their content who is teaching me to be a better person. Because how can I lead my organization and create what I want if I'm not that person? Because like many of us, when we wake up in the morning, it's 50-50 on what kind of person I am when I wake up.
Yeah.
It might be a 60-40. I mean, it just depends on the stress level of what's happening in our world, right? I fully admit my mood is directly related to my bank account. And when things are going sideways and payments aren't coming in, and I'm stressed.
Yeah, makes you a little sour for the day.
Yeah, and also too, what employee? Because the hardest thing I ever have in business is human beings.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I want to shift this part of the conversation to is so Fit Tech and Assembly. What was your inception date? Like when did you start?
Actually, so September makes exactly 8 years. So it was September
Congratulations.
2011.
8 years. Wow.
Yeah.
So how has your company, outside of, basically going national at this point, starting off in rural North Carolina and going all the way up and down the East Coast, how has your business changed from a managerial perspective, and also how do you handle customers differently in these past 8 years?
Well, David, Christian's already talked about it. You start saying, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that. This is going to be a different environment.
Yeah.
And hey, I need to go find every past employer and apologize.
Yeah.
I really do.
Back before you.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I was such an ass.
Yeah.
Because I was selfish and self-centered.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, that you got to talk about that within inside of your culture. We're doing this together. You have a role, and this is why your role is what it is.
Right.
I only in the last couple of years did I really understand it's okay to truly have the mentality of profit first.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we start there, and then it's I don't know. It's bizarre. I have unique things about my job that are interesting outside of just being business. Business is business, right? We all can agree that all the same things happen. You have to have sales, that outweigh your expenditures.
Yep.
You have to figure out ways to sell money. You have to scale, and if you're not growing, you're dying. Essentially, you can't go flat. You cannot go flat very long. Retention of customers, that's always been tough. I never understood how hard the human factor was going to be.
Yeah.
Never.
It's very hard to predict.
I did not get. I thought that if I was just a good guy, they'd be loyal. Today's, I only know a couple people that have been in their jobs for 30 years.
Yeah.
Today's market is very short-lived. 3, 4, 5 years, you've done a good job.
Mm-hmm.
So, the key is I've built a base. I've had to learn about diversification of what I do.
Can you touch on that a little bit?
I'm in the fitness equipment industry.
Right.
Hydro massage lounge chairs and beds. Calls 3, 4 years ago, whatever it was, and said, hey, we're looking for someone to do service. And we were like, that's not what we do. You know what? It is what we do now.
Yeah.
And it's a very good relationship for us.
What's the correct answer? Yes.
Yes.
The correct answer is, we're experts at that.
And here recently, we've gotten into some commercial assembly services. So working for a company that we have built bleachers for them, installed gymnasium wall padding, like behind the basketball goals and all that kind of stuff. We have changed out backboards for them in gymnasiums. What else? Obviously, they had some fitness equipment. That's how we got involved with them. We have been dabbling in the tanning bed world a little bit. So you have to find ways to fill gaps. Because
like you're horizontally integrating all sorts of things that I would have never thought of a backboard for basketball. I mean, that obviously it's fitness related, but I'm thinking treadmills and exercise bikes and stuff like that.
Which is, at the end of the day, backboards are basic.
A door into the business is a door no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, you got to be nimble. You got to be the reed in the wind that can blow with it a little bit. And then I never thought. I get a customer. It's a local customer here that owes me $7,000, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't even know why. They won't communicate with us. They won't talk with us. I would love to start raping them across the coals on the airways, but you know what? I'll figure out another way because obviously I want to be a better person than they are.
Yeah, and they're not one of my customers, so I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. We've already talked about that customer. You don't want that customer.
Oh yeah.
But we don't understand why. It just the communication stopped.
Yeah.
And they'll do things like.
I don't know how people like that go to sleep at night, or how they look at themselves in the mirror the next morning.
Well, especially a business owner, he knows they know there's overhead and what happened.
They understand that they have the same issues that go on.
Mm-hmm.
Man, okay, my bookkeeper was locked up with me, right?
Wow.
He is an amazing individual. The person that he has become, after his incarceration, the things that he's doing, the business that he is building, and is phenomenal. What's really cool is every one of my bills is paid on time.
Yeah.
he is the one person in my life who tells me no constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Not even your wife, huh? It's
Not
just,
even
it's
my
just your bookkeeper.
it's the bookkeeper.
Yeah.
And thank God for him. But you know what? He is. I am paying bills on time, and nothing is ever late.
Yeah.
Nothing. In the 3 years that 3 years, I think 2 years, 3 years, whatever it's been that he has been paying the bills, I've had, and it's only been here recently, and I think it was my fault, where we missed a payment. I think it was on our dumpster.
Yeah.
For the
Something.
shop or something. Yeah,
And that
because I didn't
happens.
forward it over
Yeah.
to him. I think I missed that.
But in
So
3
it's-
years, I mean, that's like.
Yeah, I mean, my God,
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is you do what you say and say what you do. That is the hardest thing in the world to keep up with, but it's where your integrity lies. So, the example being is that our admin, Amanda, had last year alone, by herself, processed over 2,400 work orders.
Wow.
And her mistake
They're
level,
not simple either.
her mistake level is I don't know, maybe 10, 15 throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
And it's because she's dealing with all these different manufacturer web portals and everything else. So, it's just the strangeness of things that you always, I think the things that have changed that I never expected were the things that I thought I would never have to do. I never thought that I'd get a workers' comp claim that was based on a complete lie, and the attorney settled out on it because it was cheaper to settle it and say, yes, this actually happened in their own way, instead of fighting it. And I'm going, but yeah, if I get a legitimate workers' comp claim, it's my second one, so therefore I get truly dinged.
Yeah. Now your premium's higher.
Yeah, it's, those things baffle me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear about all your success. I mean, we've talked multiple times about it, but this is we went really in depth. So I really enjoyed your story today. But one last thing to leave us on is if you could pass a note through time back to your 18-year-old self, what kind of secrets would you tell him so he could grow up a little better or a little straighter, business-wise or whatever you feel?
No hope and dope. I mean, that's the absolute truth. All right, if you're high and I'm not, I'm faster than you. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
Self-education and self-awareness is beyond important. Having you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So the key is just to make him thirsty. So get thirsty in life. Relationships really matter. You're not gonna, your boys today are not gonna be your boys when you're 35 years old. Everyone's gonna have a life and change and move on. And that the reality is you are the product of the 5 people that surround you. I mean, and so you better pick wisely. And we talk about that all the time inside of recovery, as well as in inmates and entrepreneurs and places that we go. It's like, and I'm sorry if your family's jacked up, but if they're pulling you backwards, you need to limit that world.
Your interaction with
It
them.
doesn't mean you have to be a jerk or whatever to them. You need to find a distance in a way and go surround yourself with people who have your best interest in mind.
Hopefully the up-and-coming 18-year-olds in the entrepreneur world take all those seriously. I really hope they pick it up.
Scott Jennings, our guest today with Fit Tech and Assembly, basically the poster child for inmates to entrepreneurs. Scott, a little quick thing here for your business. Somebody wants to reach out to you and say hello, whether it's an inmate that's been struggling after being incarcerated, or maybe somebody needs their fitness equipment repaired. How do they reach you?
All right, so it's simple, fittechandassembly.com. That's FITTECH, and the "and" is spelled out. Phone number 888-383-6371. And then we are, again, installation is from Philadelphia to Middle Florida over through Atlanta. Service is basically DC market, and then most of North Carolina, top half of Virginia and stuff. So you can also find us at Fit Tech and Assembly on Facebook, and I think I even have Instagram, but we're not very good on the social media front.
And your kitchen is via video. It's going to be in the bottom. We're going to put a link to his website at the bottom.
So we'll make sure that you're showcased out there. Scott, couldn't have asked for a better guest today, man. Thank you so much for joining us on our first one. This is Business Legends with Reese Harlan and Christian Webb signing out. Thank you all.
Thanks.
All right, how do y'all feel? You got your first one done.
It's all done.
That's good, man. That's good. That was a lot of fun. I liked it. was a lot of fun. I think the video's gonna come out well too. I think we're gonna start practicing like, it's like since this is all like a
Go ahead and
podcast.
stop the video too.
Well, I'll look second. Well, I guess I go ahead and do it just in case it runs over time. But
Yeah.
because this is like a podcast setting, I almost think next time we need to practice on kind of talking to the viewers on the video versus talking to the podcast. Just so we can, because they're not going to see where we're facing on the radio.
The key is you do this,